I'll let you know when we're live. We're
Welcome
live, get
to
ready.
Ireland Election Night. Welcome to Ireland Election Night live on WarnerMedia. I'm Atrophia, and I'm joined by Epic Noah, and we're also joined by Jeremy, who's going to be showing us the results on our live map through the night. We're going to be bringing you the latest news, updates, and results over the next 30 minutes. To James.
Yeah.
James is going to be bringing you the latest results from all the constituencies across Ireland on our live map in the studio, so stay tuned for all the latest results. So, we're now going to be going to our exit poll. The exit poll was conducted with around 22 respondents, and the results of the exit poll are as follows. Epic Noah will now be going over the exit poll.
Okay, thank you, Atrophy. The exit poll results are as follows. Fine Gael are predicted to get 10 seats, Labour 5 seats, Social Democrats 3 seats, and Sinn Fein with 2 seats.
So, me and Noah are now going to be talking a bit about the election itself before we go over to our first interview. Epic Noah, what do you think about the exit poll?
Well, I mean, it could be accurate. I mean, the exit poll, first of all, it's, you can never trust it fully because it might be wrong. You can never know what to expect. So it could be that it's a different point of view and that another party forms a government based on the exit poll. But there could be some accuracy to it, and I think it could turn out to be a realistic exit poll. Fine Gael, they have 10 seats. They've showed very good campaign momentum. Labour 5 seats. I think it's a drop down by, I don't know how many seats exactly, but it's still a good amount of seats regardless. Social Democrats, I think they'll be disappointed as well with losing seats because last term they were in government and now they're at a point where they're going to be in the opposition. And then Sinn Fein, it's basically the same as last election. There's no difference. We just never know what can happen in the election in these results. So.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that point. I also think that Fine Gael, according to this exit poll, getting 10 seats is quite big for Ireland as a whole because it means that they're not really at an official majority, as the Dáil would be split 50-50. This is correct, I think.
Yeah.
So that would be quite big for Ireland, I think, because it'd be probably the first time where one party would unanimously form government by itself if they want to do that. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting result for Ireland if this is what the exit poll holds out to be true in the end. Another thing that I want to raise is I wonder what turnout's going to be tonight. I mean, I think there's going to be quite big turnout. I mean, we always see quite good turnout in Ireland elections, which is no surprise considering
it is quite. I don't think it's very surprising at all. Myself, I think it's, these elections are very crucial to decide where the country will go and which direction, which government will be formed, and who will be the one in government. So, I mean, the vote turnout is obviously going to be very high because this campaign has been very, very intense. Lots of key points raised by each party, and I mean, we just never know what the vote turnout is until it's actually official.
Another thing I want to raise is if this exit poll holds out to be true, Victoria E. Wright will be Taoiseach. I mean, Victoria is someone that Ireland is kind of familiar with, so I think I think that would be very interesting if that was to hold out that was told out correctly, really. So yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, Epic Noah, just briefly, what are your thoughts on Victoria as a whole, and what sort of T-Shark do you think she would be? I mean, Ireland has already kind of had a taste of Victoria before. Uh, I think it's been 2 T-Sharks since Victoria, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So what sort of T-Shark do you think Victoria would be if this exit poll is accurate?
I I don't think there'd be any difference based off what she was in the last time when she was T-shirt. She'd probably have I think she has a sensible cabinet as well, based off seasoned politicians who know what they're doing, and I think I think she'll be able to bring that leadership if she was to be Taoiseach. Um, it's going to be an interesting term. Throughout the past few terms, we've seen coalition governments with no full party cabinet since I think it was Tom J. Whitaker's first administration, where he had a full Labour cabinet, no coalition. He had a blind confidence in the Greens. He had and ever since then we've had coalition governments, and some have turned out to be successful, some have not turned out to be successful. But the direction of the country is at stake. So I think voters went out and voted for the party and leader they think will be the most sensible choice to guide Ireland to the next in the right direction.
I think we should be heading over to our first interview anytime now.
Yeah, we're gonna big on because
I believe our first interview will be with the Sinn Fein leader Big, and I'll be holding that interview. So Big, if you can unmute your mic, please.
Big, if you can come up to the stand as well. Sorry about the delay. Big, you there? Yeah, he's coming up. Come on up. Okay. Go on, Atro.
Okay, I think we're ready to have Big on shortly.
Yeah, I think he's muted.
Yeah, Big. Hello, Big.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on the show. So, we're now going to be so thank you. We're now going to be talking with Sinn Fein leader Big. Thank you for joining us. So my first question to you, Big, is your manifesto says, and I quote, "Here at Sinn Fein, your manifesto says, and I quote, "Here at Sinn Fein, we believe the ratio of foreign nationals to our own citizens being employed is unacceptable. However, a solution to this is not listed. How would Sinn Fein fix this?"
We do that by creating public services, recruiting more for them, just hiring more people.
So thank you for that. So my next question is on foreign policy. Your manifesto says that you want to increase Irish political influence and increase Irish economic influence. However, similarly to the last question, how you want to achieve this is stated. Could you outline to the Irish people how you would go about achieving this?
Well, one, we try to increase our stance in the UN, try becoming more known in the UN. We join different alliances and just try making deals with new nations and different nations that would expand our influence.
Thank you for that. So another question I have is actually in regards to the economy. So your manifesto says that you have several transport operations in mind. Could you tell us some of the operations that you are considering?
We're gonna open we're planning to open basically where we hire people to be like a free Uber system, like to the point where we pay them to drive and do all this stuff, but you could order one, you could get driven somewhere, and you wouldn't have to pay it at all. That's one of the main plans we have.
So thank you for that. So another thing that you say in your manifesto is that you would have a booming economy, as you put it, within 2 weeks of a Sinn Féin government. Do you have specific plans for us that we can expect for this to happen?
Well, what we do is we'd open like something similar to a stock market where businesses can register, you pay the money, you get some of the profit. That would lead to a booming economy, but also with the more jobs we plan to create, the more we plan to just push out private and public sector. It, people would go into the private sector, but also go into public sector, meaning that you can get something for free handed you, but also there are going to be people doing jobs. It's going to lead to the growth of businesses. We're not going to be doing heavy restrictions on businesses at all. That's what's going to lead to a better economy. That's what's going to lead to a booming economy.
Thank you for that. So my last question is in regards to other parties. So it looks like the next Dale, if this exit poll is correct, will be 50-50. So if this exit poll turns out to be correct, can we expect Sinn Fein to partake in any deals with other parties?
Well, we're only going to be doing deals that we think are the best for us. So if parties are willing to let us, do what we want to do, pass some of our legislation, if we make a deal with them, then we might just make a deal with them. But if they just want us to join in on their parade and stuff like that and just want to use us, then we're not going to accept the deal. That's what it's going to come down to. Whether or not you're going to give us what we want in exchange for us forming a government with you or helping you form a government.
Thank you for that answer. And it's been a pleasure having you, Big Boy 68_9, leader of Sinn Fein. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Epic, just something that I want to say quickly is I think that was quite an interesting interview. Epic, no, what do you think about the interview which we just had?
I mean, Big Boy, he's grown from the ranks from a regular TD member to becoming Sinn Féin's leader. I think that he's been thrown into the leadership role without getting like proper experience first. But this manifesto which I'm reading, it's not bad for a first attempt, if I'm honest. I think based on the interview though, I think I think he's elaborated more on what Sinn Féin is promising, and I think that really helps when you come to vote. Unfortunately, I think it should have been a manifesto. They should have elaborated more in their manifesto about it. But at least we got an explanation either way. I think we asked. It was some very interesting answers from the Sinn Féin leader right now. I think there was quite a few answers. Quite a few interesting answers, may I say.
Yeah, I would certainly agree that it was quite an interesting interview. Another thing I think that I want to say is another question I'd like to ask to you, Epic Noah, is what do you think the future of Sinn Féin is?
Well, I mean it's difficult because they had a moment where they were up, like I think they had 6 or 7 seats when they were official opposition when Victoria was Taoiseach, and since then they rapidly declined, unfortunately. And since then they haven't been able to regain the momentum which even got them to main opposition. I mean, it's the future Sinn Féin. I don't want to comment anything yet. I don't like to get too far ahead of ourselves. I just feel that they need to work internally to grow the party, because right now they're at a moment where there's uncertainty, and of course it's going to be a bit messy. Hopefully Sinn Féin, if the exit poll is true and they get 2 seats, they can use this coming term to not only scrutinise the government to account, along with the other opposition parties. They can also work internally to reform the party. I think if they can use that, then I think they could grow in seats. They grow in seats and perhaps challenge the government, or even get a coalition secured if they can, like maybe next election or a couple elections time. We just don't know. If they just reform the party, so the point where people will be convinced by them. I think they'll be in for a good spell again, like they had a couple times ago.
Okay, so now I believe we're ready to go over to Jamie Akeson, who will be talking about the map and the current state of the race. So over to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Andrew. We've just had a few results in there. It's no real surprise, to be honest. It's kind of what we were expecting to come through. Definitely, Labour has gained Dublin North, which was once quite well, it was the seat held by myself when I was in the Dáil. Fine Gael has gained Dublin South, and Labour has got a seat in Leinster. No real surprises here. It's how we expected it to go, and I don't know. We'll see how the night goes. At the moment, Labour's sitting on 2, and Fine Gael is sitting on 1. According to the exit poll, this is sort of on track. So there's no real surprises yet. So I'll just hand it back to you, Andrew.
Thank you for your analysis, James. So I believe we're ready now for an interview with the leader of the Labour Party, and Epic Noah will be holding that interview. So when you're ready, Epic Noah.
Michael, are you there? If you'd like to come up to the stand and I can ask you questions. Okay. Well,
Hello.
thank you for joining us, Michael. First of all, I'd like to ask about your manifesto. In your foreign affairs section of the manifesto, it says, and I quote, "Ireland's foreign affairs has not been so good the past few governments. The last 2 administrations involved Labour. Are you saying that a government with you as Taoiseach will do better than the last 2 Labour administrations?"
I feel like a government under me would do much better than the past 2 Labour administrations. I think there was a lot of weakness under Benjamin Cosgrave's government. It was just not a fun time. I think foreign affairs started dying in there. As much as I respect Taoiseach Whitaker, I think foreign affairs did die a bit on his part as well. So I think reviving foreign affairs is one of the priorities that we have. Having international relations and being active in the international community is a must when it comes to being a nation. So, yeah.
Thank you for the answer. Next question. What do you think about your manifesto as a whole? Do you think it would have convinced the Irish people to vote for you because of the manifesto that you made?
I'm hopeful that it convinced people. I just came into the leadership, so I will admit it's not an amazing manifesto, but we put work to it. So, I'm hopeful that it did convince many people to vote for Irish Labour.
Fair enough. I don't blame you there. Compared to other party manifestos, your manifesto is only 5 pages long, and it also doesn't show your proposed cabinet. If you were to be elected, what was the thinking behind your production of the manifesto?
I feel the everyday person doesn't want to read a 20-page or 10-page manifesto. I think people will just want to see straight to the point and what's your main talking points. And I didn't put a proposed cabinet, and I think it's mainly just because Labour, we've had I will admit there's a bit of an activity, and so I do have potential people that could be ministers or be in the government cabinet, but as of right now it's kind of limited. So,
yep. Okay, thank you for that answer. Next question. Why do you believe people should choose Labour over the other parties competing in this election?
Labour's been a party that's been known for having governments, Tom G. Whitaker's government, Nicola Kinnick's, and various others. And I think, I have the experience that is necessary for being a former government minister to take Ireland in the direction it needs. I think government with Fine Gael will see some things reversed, and I'm not really hopeful that a Fine Gael government could see much big change over others. We saw under Benjamin Cosgrave's government, which was Labour, but the Social Democrats, I think, were a big part of that government's downfall as well. So I do think right now we are the best option to be for government, and I think to bring the country forward. We did have some stability under Tom J. Whitaker's government, and I think we can grow that even bigger.
Okay, right. Next question: with the exit poll being released, which we've had at the start of the stream, what's your opinion on it? Do you think that the exit poll is accurate, or do you think there's some inconsistencies in it?
I don't think it's entirely accurate. There's probably definitely some inconsistencies. I mean, no exit poll has ever been accurate. Some have been done inaccurate, but that's very rare that it's actually happened. So I do think, I feel hopeful that we can gain more seats than what the exit poll says we're supposed to get. But honestly, I'm just hopeful for the best. I think the exit poll is just inconsistent. They've never been consistent. I think only on one occasion it's been consistent here in Ireland. So.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So my final question to you is: if there was not enough seats for a government to be formed, would you be open to forming a coalition with another party, or a confidence and supply agreement?
I would be open to coalition government or supply and confidence agreement. It just depends what is best for the people. What can we get out of it? So I think if we can't get anything good out of it, then yeah, that's not a very good idea to go into a coalition with supply and confidence agreement. But whatever's best for the people, we will look into for like a supply and confidence or a coalition.
Completely understand that. Thank you for coming onto the election night, Sean. Sean, I appreciate you coming on and answering our questions. And we wish you the best of luck in this election.
Thank you very much. You have a good day, lads.
You too. Okay, right. Now we'll be moving onto the board here. As you can see over here, the board currently stands at Labour, who has taken one seat of Munster, Fine Gael with Shannon, and Fine Gael also with Connacht, and Sinn Fein have taken Ulster. So that takes Fine Gael up to on 3 seats, Labour on 3 seats, and Sinn Fein on 1 seat. So far, as we can see, it is a close race. So we cannot say anything about who will win a majority just yet. And that's the state of the race so far. But we can never know who will win which at this moment. Right, that's the board ended. Atro.
Okay,
yeah, we'll go to Jamie. I forgot we need to go to Jamie for the next one. Jamie, over to you.
Cheers, lads. So as you can see from the map itself, there's to be honest with you, there's no surprises here at all. Sinn Féin's kept Ulster, which was a Sinn Féin stronghold, and really, realistically, I don't remember it not being, even under my term. Connacht, for example, is in a Fine Gael stronghold. They've managed to keep that. Labour has regained Munster, which is quite interesting because I do remember there's an election where they've actually they lost seats in Munster, which was a big blow for their campaign. So I think it's starting to fill out, and I think a pattern is starting to emerge. Whether this pattern is going to coincide with what the exit poll has suggested, I guess all I can do is wait and see. So yeah, that's really all from me. The map is starting to fill out, so I guess another 10-15 minutes and we'll see. We'll really have a better idea of what way the Dáil is going to start to form up. Back to you, lads. Cheers.
So up next we have I believe an interview with the Governor General, Conor Novak. So we have Conor on now, so he's going to be giving his input on this election. So thank you for joining us, Conor.
Well, hello. Good evening. How are you?
I'm really good, Conor. How are you?
I'm just fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Okay, that's good to hear. So firstly, Conor, I know from working with you that you're quite big on big and bold leadership in the national interest, and during your tenure as Governor General of Ireland, you've had the pleasure of working with many Taoiseach. So what are some important qualities that you see in a Taoiseach?
So yeah, I mean, I've had I think 7 Taoiseach at this point, which is a bit weird. It's crazy to think I've been around that long, but I find that the Taoiseach that go into office with a very clear plan for what they want to do, and they think really ambitiously. I think the Whitaker government, and no harm to Tom at all, he's a good friend of mine, and I think he kept the country alive in a very unstable political moment. But I think the Whitaker government shows that you really do need to have that foresight and planning so that you can be more ambitious. Policy doesn't come to you in countries like Ireland because Ireland's already very well established. It's not, a new nation where everything is very simple what you have to do. You have to think outside the box, try and carve your own path. And so really the next Taoiseach just kind of has to know that it's not going to come easy to them. The policy they have to form has to be outside of the box, creative, of their own volition, all of that.
For that answer, I think it was quite well incited. So another question I have is in regards to the next government itself. What do you think should be done by the elected government to make Ireland a more prosperous nation?
I think Ireland is, and this has been a problem for a very long time. I think we have continuously failed to really grasp on to the international influence we could have. Like, we came second in the UNSC Rotaries in the UNGA, which, for people who aren't diplomatically aware, that means that, I think 50 to 55% of the international community voted for us to be on the UNSC, which is really big. We won Nation of the Month without anyone even contesting us, really. There was other people, but they had no chance of winning. Ireland has a lot of fans internationally and a lot of countries that like us, but we're just not very diplomatically minded. I'm not quite sure why. We've just always been very inward looking. And I think the next government, especially if we're talking about the fact that, maybe we don't have as many politicians as we like, or we could still gain some more talent. The more internationally renowned a nation is, the more immigration it gets. The more a nation's posting an international feed, the more RTE shows up in the press feed, all of that, the more people that are going to join Ireland. And I think the best strategy a government can have if they really want to influence activity is to get us internationally considered the likes of the Netherlands or the likes of Canada, because we really are more active. Not to be rude to anyone and undiplomatic, but we're more active than a lot of nations that have a lot more clout than us. And we're really on the same level as nations like Canada or the Netherlands, but we don't act like it. And I think that if that changes, then our position internationally changes as well as domestically.
Thank you for that. Another thing I'd like to ask is more of a kind of general question in regards to politics. I mean, you've led governments before. You have a very clear idea as to what governments go through during the course of their term.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if you have any sort of general advice that it can be pretty much anything you like for the next government.
Oh, I think the biggest mistake I made was I was too focused on the little details. Being organized and sure of what you're doing is important, but I would obsess over how a statement was phrased or what time it put out something, rather than being focused on the larger policy decisions. Because if you're worried about the font of a document versus, how you're going to roll out a policy initiative, the two are not comparable. You should be focusing on the bigger picture issues. So you're doing things. Because it's nice to have a well-formatted document, but I find that, I love how my documents look from when I was Prime Minister, but really what I'm proud of is the actual things I did.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you, Connor, for coming on to the show today. It's been a pleasure having you on, as always, and a pleasure speaking to you.
Of course, thank you very much. Oh, I do want to congratulate the boys in green, the Irish national football team. 12-3 against Bulgaria. Absolutely excellent. We've qualified for the round of 16. Lovely day. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening.
You too, Connor.
We at Irish Selection Night also extend our congratulations to the Irish football team tonight. Just something quick. I've actually been kind of told to put this on. So I've been told that Taoiseach Whitaker has tweeted, "The reason the counting is taking so long is because of mailing ballots at the radical left. I'm not even going to say what's after that.
Okay, what's going on with your mic? Okay, actually, yeah. Okay, yeah, that was weird. Anyway, carry on.
No idea what just happened, but I'm told it sounded like a storm or something like that. So, something that I've just been told is that Taoiseach Whitaker has apparently tweeted that the hunting is taking so long because of the radical left parties apparently using mail-in ballots. I'm told that he tweeted that today, so that's quite interesting insight from the Taoiseach. Anyways, so let's just talk about quickly before we go into the final results. Epic Noah. I mean, we've had a poll in that now has 67% of respondents, 21 votes who expect Fine Gael to come on top this election. So what do you think of that? I mean, it looks quite obvious right now that they're going to come out on top. So
Yeah, I
what do
think
you think of that?
we've had because I think this matches the exit poll that I think we had 22 people responding to the exit poll as well. 67% Fine Gael based on the exit poll and what we just put up on the stream now. I think it's very impressive for Fine Gael. It's obviously going to be a massive triumph for them. It's going to be a very good day for them as well in the office. Excuse me. I think they're going to be also focused on governing as well. I think it's also going to be quite a close race, and I think it's a good result for Fine Gael. They managed to get to their second win under the current leader, and only time as a Fine Gael leader has managed to become Taoiseach 2 times is under Jamie. And I think it was others as well. I can't remember fully, but I think it's actually very, very good for Fine Gael. So I congratulate them for their positive result. It's not official yet, because we still have a lot of seats to go, but it's looking like it could be a Fine Gael win. So it's obviously a good day for them.
Okay, so I believe we're now ready at the map with James Aixon. So over to you, James.
Cheers, Andrew. So basically, we've had a few results coming in here, lads. There's Dublin's fully declared. Dublin North is currently with 1 Labour TD and 1 Fine Gael TD. Dublin South has 2 Fine Gael TDs and 1 Social Democrat. The Social Democrats on a whole on the island have secured 2 seats at the moment, which is, to be fair, again for what is really a fledgling of a party. It's quite grown. I think I've noticed their campaign and stuff has matured, and I think as a party they're starting to grow a little bit more. So considering how competitive the Irish political scene is, I think they're not doing too bad at the moment. Talking about Sinn Fein, which, to be frank, has I don't know what happened to Sinn Fein. It has died, and it's kind of sad to see. Under my tenure as Taoiseach, I do remember them. Excuse me, I do remember them doing quite well, and they were quite a opposing force. They're always a threat. They're got Ulster, as I said before. They now are down as well. Have gained a seat. Talking about Fine Gael, we can talk about Labour as well here. Labour has they've gained a few seats. They're currently sitting on 4 seats, which is, going by the exit poll as well, is what we expected. Fine Gael has gained a seat in Meath, which is pretty good for them, considering. So on a whole, I think it's starting to fill out, and I think the exit poll is starting to look more and more likely to be around the same number as what we'll probably end up with. I don't think it'll be far off. So on that, I will hand back to you to wrap this show up, I guess. Cheers.
All right.
So I believe we're near ready to wrap up. So I just want to have a quick discussion before. So Epic Noah, what are your final insights into this election?
It's obviously been very close election again, as I mentioned before. It's been I think it's very good for Fine Gael. It's going to be a bit of disappointment for, I think, Sinn Fein at least, because they haven't managed to make any gains. I think it's going to be especially disappointing for Social Democrats as they've lost some seats. So I think it's going to be very disappointing for them. Labour, it'll be it's not too bad for them. I don't think I'll bet that, because they've not gained any seats, but they haven't lost too many seats either. So it's obviously it's obviously going to be an average environment in the Labour camp right now. But I think my final thoughts is it was a close election. It was very, very heated. Lots of parties had very good promises as well. It was very good from all parties campaigning. They really showed what their vision for Ireland is, and I think that can really convince the voters to vote for them. And to convince people to vote for you, you need to show them the direction that you want to take Ireland in. And yeah, that's really my take on it.
So my take is this election has been quite interesting. I mean, I believe that we have Fine Gael leading by 2 seats right now. I think they're going to be maintaining that lead throughout the night. I think it's quite clear that we are heading for a Fine Gael government at this point. But whether they're going to be doing deals with him, we don't know. I think this is actually, I mean, I spoke about this earlier. This was quite a big election for Ireland itself, because I think it might be, I'm not fully sure on this, so don't fully quote me on it. I think this might be Ireland's first majority government if the exit poll turns out to be true. Well, it's kind of in majority territory, but it's kind of not either, because it's split halfway.
It's not really official yet. Like, I don't think it's
not
official
really, yeah.
majority.
Not really an official majority, but it's be kind of sort of halfway if the exit poll results were to hold out correctly. But yeah, I think this has been a very interesting election to wrap it up from me. I mean, I think it's just been another very interesting election in Ireland, and I'm very excited to see what's going to be coming next from Irish politics specifically.
Let me just say something. I think it's going to be a very interesting upcoming term as well, because of course we've had Labour in the past 2 administrations all in one term, and I think if they were to form a coalition, it also has to be a coalition which every party can agree on. I think the fault in the Cosgrave administration was, I don't think that the 2 parties agreed on many policies, and that's what led to the downfall. Especially because they had also a Minister of State leak NSA stuff, and it was actually me in the opposition after this. It was actually me that was leaked the NSA stuff too. But anyway, that's not the point. And the point is, if they're going to have a stable government, they're going to have to make sure that they're in line. Their ministers know what they're doing, and they can go out and genuinely impress Ireland. The opposition will, I think, if my advice for the opposition parties is to just scrutinise the government well, do well, and then hopefully I'll help you grow and get more seats, and then after that, grab that spot for government. Yeah, that's really my final take on it. Thank you.
I think it's been a very interesting night. I'd just like to thank you for joining me, Epic Noah. I'd also like to thank everyone for watching this, and it's been a pleasure hosting once again. I believe this is the second time I've hosted an Irish election night, and we're now going to be heading over to James Dixon at the map. So, over to you, James.
Cheers, Andrew. As you can see, the map is completely filled at the moment. We've got all the results in. At the moment, what it looks like is that it is a Fine Gael win. They've done really well this election. As a former Fine Gael Taoiseach, I'm quite proud of them. On a whole, I'll just read out the results seat-wise. So Fine Gael is sitting on 10 seats. The Labour Party are sitting on 4. Sinn Fein is at 3, and the Social Democrats are also at 3. As you can see from the map, there's gains here and there's gains there. Sinn Fein lost Ulster, to be honest. They all only gained 1 seat, which was their stronghold. It's quite disappointing to see. As well as that, the Labour have seats here and there, but there's no real stronghold for them, which is quite disappointing. Social Democrats, like I said before, they've gained seats mainly to the east of Ireland, but I think it's still a breakthrough for them. So they can be proud of that. I'd like to see them do better in the next election, but there's no real surprise there. As well as that, I think on a whole, what is left now is that I think Victoria will now become the next Taoiseach. I think really for her the question is, does she believe that she could does she have she has the mandate, but does she have the ability to continue through without any agreements or support from other parties? She is on 10, opposition are also on 10, so it depends on turnouts and stuff. But I think on a whole, it has added a bit of stability to what really Ireland was full of coalitions and stuff, and we never really had a clear majority. So it's kind of nice now to see that there's some sort of majority, although it's not a full majority. It is pretty close to it. It's only 1 seat off the 11 that's needed. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to hand it back to the rest of you now. And thanks for watching. And I hope the map makes a little bit more sense. So yeah, cheers.
Thank you for your analysis, James. Another thing I'd just like to mention is thank you to all the viewers for viewing us at this election night broadcast. The other thing I'd like to add is thank you to Epic Noah for joining us tonight. And thank you
for
to
having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to you, the viewers, for watching. So that's it from us, and I believe we're wrapping up the show sometime now.